What's poppin'? Welcome back to Midwest World. This is the Tubecast. Make sure you like and subscribe, share the content. I greatly appreciate everybody that slide through and show love, commenting, and all that stuff. I appreciate it all. Straight up, man. Straight up. Now, let's get into the topic at hand. The NBA In the Zone series should return. Yep. Now, the reason why I'm saying in the zone is because I believe those are their best games, Konami, because now I gotta go back. I think they made games for like the 16-bit era, I believe. I think I played some, I seen, but you know, I'm gonna focus on the zone, you know what I'm saying? But I do believe that they may have had some games sprinkled around in the 16-bit era, not in the zone, just called something else. But I'm gonna focus on the In the Zone series. They had Starting Five, ESPN NBA Tonight, you know what I'm saying? But it was still In the Zone. It was still, I feel like that was, because it's same gameplay and all that, it's just a different name. Why they kept changing the name, I don't know. Maybe it was a different development team on that, just using that engine, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But we gonna focus on the In the Zone series, right? On the PlayStation. Because In the Zone stopped on the PlayStation. They didn't make it to the PS2. Once they got to the PS2 and stuff, and the Dreamcast, that's when it was called ESPN NBA Tonight. And ESPN NBA Now and the Dreamcast was terrible. Make sure you check out that video. I don't know why they put that out. But ESPN NBA Tonight wasn't even bad though. Like once you got the one with Zoe on the cover, that wasn't bad. 02 wasn't bad. Then you got to Starting Five. Never played the Starting Five 2005. That is a Japan exclusive. Now, it's not expensive, but the problem is I don't have a Japan console. So, and I don't know how if I could find some way to soft mine my PS2 to run that, I have no problem getting that, playing it and all that. But I'm trying to find out ways, and I just can't find out no way around it except getting a Japan console, a Japanese console. And if I run across a Japanese console, no big deal, I get it. You know what I'm saying? I get it. You know, so we gonna focus on the zone though, because if they come back, if they was to come back, they might as well just go to the classic In the Zone name. Now Konami, I don't know how well they're doing as a company and that, I can't say. I know Kojima split from them in 2015, so I know Metal Gear Solid was big for Konami. So I know a few people feel like, or was confused if Death Stranding was a Konami game. Nah, that's a Kojima game, right? He split from them in 2015. So, yeah, I mean, that, I don't know how good Konami is doing on the financial tip. So, I don't know if they got the money to pay the NBA to use the license in that. I don't know. You know what I mean? They may or may not. I have no idea. I got to do my research on their company and stuff like that, and how they moving and what they got going on and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But either way it goes, I think if they was to come back, I do think they could be. In the Zone always been dope. Well, In the Zone 2 to me might have been their best game. In the Zone 2, In the Zone 2 was fire, dog. Like, I ain't gonna lie. But all the In the Zones on PlayStation was pretty solid. They was pretty solid, you know what I'm saying? There wasn't nothing wrong with those titles, you know what I mean? They wasn't perfect, you know what I'm saying? They wasn't perfect, but they always was solid. The only bad game I ever played as far as In the Zone, for real, probably was the one on N64, In the Zone 98, I believe. That one wasn't good, you know what I'm saying? But then, you know, later iterations of In the Zone on the N64 was all right, you know what I mean? But it shined on the PlayStation. There was no bells and whistles with that. Now, you did have the dunk contest and things like that in the Zone, you know what I'm saying? Later iterations on the PlayStation and things like that. You had the dunk contest. But either way it goes, you didn't have no bells and whistles. You didn't have no crazy franchise. They gave you the straight basic modes. And listen, it's okay coming with the basic modes as long as you got your basics. But, you know, I would like to see them. You have to do a franchise mode, things like that. You would have to make sure your online infrastructure is on point. You would have to come with some sort of card system online, because that's the way things is now. That's the way things is now, you know what I mean? So you got to kind of cater. You got to give the masses something that everyone's familiar with. You gotta kind of go in that direction a little bit, not all the way though. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to give them something that's part of what's going on now as far as the online thing. So, I have no doubt that the gameplay will be all right. I don't doubt that. You know what I'm saying? Because you gotta understand, In the Zone 2 was innovative at that time. I think they was the first one to bust out accessories and things like that. So, In the Zone 2, In the Zone period, always had nice animations, you know? Excuse me. I feel like they was ahead of their time with animations, man, In the Zone. You know, them and Shootout. You know what I'm saying? Like, the dunk animations was crazy in the Zone. I have no doubt they can come in the game and make some noise. I have no doubt they can do that. They would, like I said, the graphics, I'm interested to see what they'll do with the graphics, because it's not like In the Zone looked bad. It just had a weird look to them. So I'm interested to see how them body types will look in the new era, in the modern day. I would love to see how that would look, because, you know, you had a lot of games back then that had awkward body models on the PS1, N64, and things like that. With this new technology and things like that, I would love to see what the developers will be able to do as far as the body types, graphics, and all that type of stuff. I'm very interested in seeing, but I have no doubt In the Zone, you know, will be at least solid, because they haven't put out any bad titles besides the N64 version and the Dreamcast version, even though I wasn't In the Zone. But, you know, the mainline titles was never bad at all. I can't pinpoint a bad In the Zone game. You know what I'm saying? I can't pinpoint a bad In the Zone game, you know what I mean, or a whack one or whatever. So I would love to see what they'll do. But like I said, you would have to have like some sort of card system for the online, you know, where you collect cards and things like that. I would say you gotta have, you know, your basics, your tournaments, and you gotta have something that features online for the people to interact with one another, because that's what they like to do nowadays. Whether, like, you know, and I'm not the guy that's on my oh, get off my lawn. No. Now, I play mainly offline. I hop online every now and again, you know what I'm saying? But that's just not my thing, you know what I mean? The online scene is not my thing, you know what I mean? I don't like the trolls and none of that stuff. I just don't, you know what I mean? But I understand online is heavy out here, you know what I'm saying? You got some people that's not even gonna buy the game unless you got online features, period, you know what I mean? It's just what it is. So they gotta have something online. We have not seen In the Zone do anything like online based. So, I mean, we don't know. They will have to just make sure they do well with the basics online. You know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, you don't want to jump out the window and do anything crazy if you don't got the infrastructure right. So you would have to, I would have to say they have to have the basic stuff like tournaments, online tournaments, you know, online seasons, and just head-to-head and stuff like that. I wouldn't want to, and then do your little card game system, like your little my player, my team system, and do things like that. But you don't want to do nothing too crazy, unless they got the infrastructure down to come out and do that. You know what I mean? So I think In the Zone would be solid, you know what I'm saying, if they came out. You know what I mean? The only problem is none of the young cats know who it is, know what In the Zone is. See, only people my age and, you know what I mean, older, you know what In the Zone is, because they came out when I was a kid. So, I mean, you know, the youngest, you got some cats that was born, you know what I mean, in the 2K era. They was, you know what I'm saying? So they don't know nothing but 2K. So if you bring out In the Zone, they gonna be like, who the F is this? You know what I mean? What is this? You know what I mean? I rock with 2K. They don't got my park in there and all that stuff. And rightfully so, I guess. I mean, you know, 2K got a lot in their game. So, I mean, you know, if anybody was to come out and put out a new game, it has to be baby steps. It has to be baby steps. That's the thing. You're not going to be able to come in and knock 2K off the top of the hill at all. You have to start with baby steps. And my thing is, you got to just get the basics right. If any company come in and do anything, they got to just get the basics right first. Worry about that first. So if the Konami was to come back, or in the zone was to come back, I would just be, if I was on some advising stuff, I'd be like, worry about the basics first. You know what I mean? Make sure the gameplay is on point, fluid and snappy and reactive and realistic. Make sure your franchise mode is on point. You know what I'm saying? Nice and deep, things like that. Make sure you got nice online infrastructure, the servers that work. You know what I mean? Make sure that's on point. You know what I mean? Things like that. Make sure your creative player's on point. Make sure that's good. You know what I'm saying? I think all that stuff is basics at this point. Franchise modes, that's to me the basics at this point. You have to have that nowadays. You can't just have a single season. You gotta have franchise, you know what I'm saying? A multi-season, something, you know what I mean? Where you can keep playing the game. I would even say have roster share up in there, you know what I'm saying? Have it to where, you can edit rosters and things like that, and then share that online. That's a nice feature to have. You understand what I'm saying? So you can even do it to, create a player and all that stuff. Yeah, do it to where, because if you create players, you can still share a roster. So yeah, do that, just basic stuff, dope stuff for basic stuff. If you want to have moments throughout the season, Live did it, you know what I'm saying? So why not you? You can do that too, you know what I mean? You can have like certain moments and things like that throughout the season. You can have historic games, historic callbacks, something easy to do. You know what I mean? Something easy. They could have something there where they do like, okay, we got some historic games you can replay, historic moments, or even something like this. Okay, T-Mac, you know what I mean? Can you drop to 13 and 30 seconds, whatever the case was. How many seconds? 13 and 30 or something like that. But, that moment against the Spurs, can you reenact that? Little certain things like that. They can do those kind of things, you know what I mean? So, which means you have to have the classic rosters, which I don't think, if you're able to get a hold of that, I mean, if you got the rights to the NBA, you should be able to dive into those classic rosters. Now, I do know some of that stuff is individual based, you know what I mean? Things like that, you know what I mean? So if you're able to actually get access to the old rosters and stuff like that, or majority of the players, like how 2K do, you can do stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So, they can do stuff like that. It don't got to be crazy. It don't have to be crazy, you know what I'm saying? But they can add stuff like that in their game, something unique, you know what I mean? Because 2K don't have the moments you reenact. They don't have that, you know what I mean? They don't even have stories this year, you know what I'm saying? Or things like that. They had it with Jordan and Kobe, then they had it in 12. It wasn't like that was something like on some every year stuff, you know what I mean? So in the zone can incorporate that, presentation, I mean, like I said, you don't need, at this point, you don't need the TNT license, you don't need the ESPN license. You can mimic what's on TV and make a realistic broadcast. You can have, this is Konami Sports, blah, blah, blah. Have your own announcers, or you can hire real life announcers. You got so many different, man, it's a big pool of broadcaster announcers. There's so many of them. I mean, you can find, there's so many good ones you can find to do this. So, I mean, you don't necessarily need the big names. There's people on YouTube. There's people in the local area, that cover, the local team. You can do, there's so many. It's overload. So you can always find somebody to do it and make it sound realistic, no problem. It's a sweetener to have like the big names, but you don't need the big names. You can get you some announcers, find some broadcasters in your local area that broadcast the game. You can have them do it. You can get your sign live reporter, even somebody local or somebody on the come up. You can get them to do it. You know what I mean? And honestly, the difference between those guys and the ones that's on is the fact that the ones that's on is in position, those guys not. You know what I mean? Sometimes some of those play-by-play announcers be better than who's on ESPN and stuff like that. They just don't got the opportunity to be on ESPN or ABC. It's only so little slots. So you can find these guys and then handle their business. You know what I'm saying? And I'm quite sure they'll jump at the opportunity to be on a game like that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's going out to the masses. You see what I'm saying? So you can find that, you know what I mean? You can really do something with the presentation. So you don't need ESPN. You can jazz it up, Konami Sports, all that. You know, have the Konami, all that stuff. You can do everything. You can do everything just with your company, with, you know what I mean, do your thing like that. So it's a sweetener to have ESPN, TNT, ABC, or whatever, but you don't need it. You know what I mean? So, you know, you gotta get creative with you know, the broadcast and things like that. So I think that Konami, I would love to see Konami come back and bring In the Zone back. You know, if I think In the Zone is the name they should go with if they was to come back. I mean, Starting Five was their last one. You know, Starting Five 2005. So, I mean, I guess they could do Starting Five. You know, they could probably do Starting Five. They couldn't do ESPN NBA Tonight because, you know, that's EA got the ESPN now. So, I mean, if they did Starting Five, I guess. I mean, I'd say just In the Zone. In the Zone rings. It has more ring to it. That's the classic name. That's the callback. You know what I'm saying? And that's, you know, I say In the Zone. I say In the Zone. I'll even do something like this if I was In the Zone. Have a playable version of In the Zone 2 in there on some retro stuff. Retro In the Zone. Be able to play exhibition of that. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like how Live did with Live 95 and put that in Live 06 on PlayStation. Yeah, have a retro version of In the Zone in there. That'd be dope. A callback. You know what I mean? So we back, here go a retro joint In the Zone 2. You know what I'm saying? Be able to play a version of that, you know, with modern rosters. You know what I mean? If you can't get a whole of the old rosters, have it to where you can play with the modern roster exhibition style. You know what I mean? I think that'd be fire to put in there. You know what I mean? So there's a lot you can do here. You know what I mean? So I think In the Zone would be fine if they came back. But like I said before, if anybody was to come and make an NBA sim, you got to understand that 2K, you're not going to be able to come in and knock 2K off the map. It's not going to happen. And I'm not saying that on some negative stuff. It's just not going to be able to happen like that, to where you come in, knock 2K off. They too deep in the game. They drop the game every year. Whether anybody like them or not, they consistently put out a game every single year. Just like Madden. Every single year, never missed a year since they've been out, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, and people make money off the game too, whether people complain, moan about it or not. There's people that make money off that game, as far as like my player, things like that, tournaments, they got a league, all that. So 2K is knee deep in the game. So it's gonna take a while to try to even penetrate that base, but somebody gotta try. You gotta put something out there first. And then, you know, you got to consistently make, you know what I mean? You got to be consistent. That's one. You got to be consistent. You know what I mean? That's one. You have to. I mean, consistency is not, if you're not consistent, you're not going to be able to do nothing. You got to be consistent. You got to learn from your mistakes. You got to do all that. You know what I mean? So, and that's just what it is. I know it's a lot of money to develop this stuff, so it's kind of hard to be consistent. If you're not making a big profit, they're probably like, nah, it's not worth it. And I get it, you know what I'm saying? But if you're gonna step in it and drop something, you got to be committed to it, especially because you automatically competing, and it's not even like it don't have to be like a vitriol competition. It's just friendly. It's okay, good competition. Okay, you doing your thing. Okay, here we go. You know what I mean? So there's nothing wrong with. So I think In the Zone would be fine. They always put out solid games. I think they have some unique gameplay to them that some people will gravitate to. You know what I'm saying? So I would love to see them come back. Hopefully they would down the line. You know what I'm saying? I hope, but you know, there's no signs yet. I don't know how well Konami is doing as a company, but I would love to see In the Zone come back, man. So make sure you like, subscribe, share the content. Really appreciate it from everybody. Peace.